Hi, I'm Dr. Steve Perlstein, and this is Second Opinion. Today we're going to talk about a fascinating subject, and that subject is exercise. But today we're not going to talk about exercise like what exercise you should do if you have low back pain. We're going to talk about what it takes to get exercise, what it takes to do exercise, an exercise program, because this is the subject that confounds most people I see. In over 30 years of being a chiropractic physician, I counsel patients every day about the value of exercise, about how exercise will enhance and lock in the benefits from their treatment program. We all know that exercise is a good thing. And if that was enough to do exercise on a regular basis, well, then there would be no point to doing this video. But exercise, as I said, is a fascinating subject because we people generally have a hard time with exercise. It's sort of like public speaking. Most people would rather not do that. And this is a little different because most people would rather do exercise if they could, but they're not doing it. And I see so many patients who say that they used to do exercise and they fell out of it and they're having a hard time getting started, or they're doing some, but it's not quite enough. Well, really the title of this video is Exercise and Commitment, because commitment is that piece that anchors exercise, that gives you exercise, that has you doing exercise the way you should, properly, consistently, and on purpose. So exercise, as I said, is a fascinating subject because we people have difficulty with commitment. That's the difficulty we have. We don't really have difficulty with exercise per se. We have difficulty with commitment. I've often said that if everybody who wanted $1 million would have it just from wanting it, well then, we'd all be millionaires many times over. So wanting something, such as wanting $1 million or wanting to do exercise, does not in and of itself bring that to you. It does not create it. It does not land in your lap. You're not suddenly doing exercise just because you want to. There's something else. There's a component that we have difficulty with, and I've mentioned it, of course. It's commitment. We have difficulty with commitment. So it's very important to understand, because I find, as a chiropractic physician counseling my patients, that so many patients are troubled by this inability to stay with something as simple, in my opinion, as exercise. They want exercise, but don't quite know how to get a handle on it and have difficulty starting it, and it all seems so formidable, and it's easier to not do it. Now, certainly, plenty of people have given up and they're not interested in exercise, but I'm talking about the ones who want to do exercise and are having difficulty getting to it, starting it. And basically what one has to create is a relationship with exercise. Exercise, if it exists just sitting out there by yourself, by itself, is not something that you can relate to unless you create a relationship with it. And the key, that piece that I said is missing, that creates the relationship with exercise, is commitment. When you're committed to something, you've created a relationship with it. Now, you may have to ongoingly continue to create that relationship with what you are committed to. So this really pertains to anything. But that's the key, creating a relationship out of commitment. So this is not going to be a video that just says, well, if you want to do exercise, commit to it, thanks, bye. No, because I really want to explore the issue of commitment. And I think that one of the most important things that one can do, if you are looking at this question of exercise in your life, knowing what you know now about the need to have a commitment. And by the way, a commitment is a promise. It's as simple as that. And promises, although they can be broken, may need to be renewed every day. So I know that some people feel that they're not willing to make a commitment because they feel that they'll break it. Well, breaking a commitment can be done responsibly. And the responsible way of breaking a commitment once it's broken is to recommit, to acknowledge that you broke it and to recommit. One does not have to judge oneself for having broken the commitment. You just need to be honest with yourself and say, okay, I broke my word and now I'm going to remake my word. And that's how you restart your commitment. So what I tell my patients when we bring up this subject of exercise, when they want to get to exercise but don't quite know how to begin, is not to just throw out an exercise program, but to ask some basic questions as part of an inquiry into yourself and commitment. So the first question that I would ask, and please listen to the words carefully and I will repeat it, is, are you willing to entertain the idea or the notion of having exercise in your life? I'm going to say that again. Are you willing to entertain the idea of having exercise in your life? To break that down, first we're asking, are you willing to entertain an idea? So here's exercise over here, and here's you asking the question. You're not asking the question, are you going to do exercise? You're asking, like, are you willing to look over here and actually before that and ask yourself, are you willing to even think about it? That seems like a silly question, but it is not. It is actually a rather profound question because it's at the very beginning. And what usually happens is we think the answer is automatically yes, but you have to be brutally honest with yourself. And if the answer comes up no, then my suggestion is that you continue to ask yourself that same question as many times as it takes to get to yes. You may never get to yes, that's one of the options, but if you continue to ask yourself the question, you'll see how simple it is. Are you willing to entertain the idea? Are you willing to even look at the subject of exercise? It's easy to say yes to that if that's the answer that you have, because if you are inquiring, then somewhere exercise is a concern of yours, the fact that you're not doing it. And so if you have a yes answer, if you're being really honest with yourself and you're saying, yeah, okay, I'm willing to entertain the thought, then the next question that you ask yourself is, are you willing to have exercise in your life on a regular basis? So you've already entertained the thought about exercise. Now you're looking at exercise itself. Are you willing to have it in your life on a regular basis? It's got to be on a regular basis. You could also ask yourself the question, are you willing to have it in your life? That's an easier question because it doesn't lock you into doing it regularly. So asking the question, are you willing to have it in your life? That's a big question. But it's an easy question because you're not saying how you're going to have it in your life. So one or the other, you may be willing to have it in your life on a regular basis or just have it in your life. If the answer is yes for just having it in your life, the next question can be, are you willing to have exercise in your life on a regular basis? So can you see what we're doing here? We're exploring the subject of commitment, and we're taking a look at what you're willing to do, step by step. And wherever you hit a roadblock, wherever the answer is no, continue to ask that same question over and over again. Doesn't matter how long it takes. It could take weeks, it could take months, until you hit a yes, and then you go on to the next step. This is easing yourself into being committed without that scariness of the full-blown commitment, which for some people it translates to a burden. You see, if you, deep down, whether you realize it or not, equate commitment with burden, then you're not committing to anything. And you can attest to failed marriages as an example of that. Commitment is a huge thing in our lives, but it's actually really very simple. And I will tell you that commitment, from my experience, is empowering. That's one of the points of view. It's empowering. Can it be scary? Yes, because I know a lot of us have it wired up that if you commit to something, you can't back out. And what if you fail? And the fear of failure is so great in most of us that we will not commit out of that. And then we wind up living a life where we don't get what we want, and we're mad at life. Or we're just sad that we didn't get what we want. And behind it may be that fear of failure. So to confront that fear of failure, to be willing to say, and this is another question, am I willing to have exercise in my life and possibly fail at it? That's another question. I'm making these questions up. This is not in a book. You can make these questions up. You can move slowly with baby steps forward. So this video is part of a series of exercise and commitment. And I want to take those baby steps with you as you inquire into the value of exercise in your life and what it can mean for you. My commitment is for anybody watching this video who is at a point where they're not exercising but would like to transform their conversation of exercise such that they begin exercise. You begin exercise in a committed and powerful and useful way so that it makes a difference in your life. And that's actually the biggest commitment that I have in my life, to making a difference in my life and others for the purpose of satisfaction. So, if you're watching this video on YouTube or Facebook, there's a place to like it and there's a place to comment. And I would love to hear your comments. I would love for you to like the video, and I'd love for you to tell other people about it. So I'm going to be continuing this series, and we're going to explore this. I don't know how many videos in this series it'll be, but we'll just take our time. This is Exercise and Commitment Part 1, if you will, and we'll slowly move into the other parts of this so that it works for you. I hope that you have thoroughly enjoyed this. I want each video in this series, and this is a series of videos not just on this kind of subject, but also on chiropractic itself, on fitness, on health, on well-being. And I've got a number of them made, and I'm going to be continuing to make them. I would, again, love to get your feedback, and as I said, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Again, I'm Dr. Steve Perlstein, and this has been Second Opinion.